Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Sonic Multiverse. Today we're continuing What If Shadow was created with Mother Wisp DNA. If you haven't watched part 1, I'd recommend you do that first. But without further ado, let's jump right in. It's a quiet, peaceful night in the city. Well, at least it was, until an explosion broke out at the Federal Reserve's bank. Several choppers were flying about trying to figure out who the intruder was. But all they and several troopers on the ground could make out was a fast-moving magenta blur. This, of course, was Shadow the WISP'S. The ultimate lifeform had stolen the Chaos Emerald held within the bank and was making a quick getaway. As Shadow hovered through the highways, there were several robots ready to gun him down. But Shadow was prepared. Chaos! Laser! Shadow's entire body turned into cyan energy as he ricocheted from target to target. And with each robot he destroyed, he absorbed the energy from their chaos drive, making him all the more powerful. As Shadow looked back at the destruction he left behind, he smirked to himself. Like taking candy from a baby. That's when Shadow felt some pain in his head. A memory flashed through Shadow's mind. His head still felt fuzzy and he couldn't remember the full thing. But he heard Maria state, "Shadow, please, I beg of you. The people of that planet." "I understand, Maria. For the people of this planet, I promise you revenge." Shadow lays low until the next day. Eventually, he comes across a blue hedgehog, known as Sonic. The scene plays out nearly identically to how it does in the original game, with Shadow inducing chaos control and escaping, leaving GUN to arrest Sonic in Shadow's place. From here, many of the events of Sonic Adventure 2 would play out more or less the same. Shadow introduces Eggman to the Eclipse Cannon, a ray gun that, once having all 7 Chaos Emeralds, could destroy a planet. To collect all 7 Chaos Emeralds, Shadow and Eggman get help from Rouge the Bat. The trio break into Gun headquarters, and although there are a few complications, the trio are ultimately able to collect 3 Chaos Emeralds. They now have 6 in total, only 1 left. As a demonstration of their power, Eggman blows up half the moon while making an announcement to the world below. Join his empire within 24 hours, or die. This attracted the attention of the heroes, as they raced up to Space Colony Ark and tried to thwart Dr. Eggman once and for all. This eventually brought Shadow and Sonic to one last confrontation. Sonic was just one good sprint away from the cannon's core. Once he got there, he could place a fake Chaos Emerald Tails made and disrupt the entire cannon, leaving it inoperable. But before he could sprint off, a magenta figure walked up alongside him. Sonic and Shadow looked at each other as they slowly began to run. Sonic smirked. Shadow looked curious. "You never cease to surprise me, Blue Hedgehog. You know what can I say? I die hard." "That may be, but I can't allow you to get to the core. Maria's wish must be fulfilled." The rivals raced down the walkways of the Ark. Their ferocious footsteps began to destabilize the metal beneath their legs, causing it to collapse as they ran past. Turning back was no longer an option. Now all they could do was race forward towards the core, and for either of them to succeed, one of them had to be left behind. Shadow was the first to act. "Chaos, hover!" Using his air shoes, Shadow raced ahead, before leaping up into the air, raising his right arm above his head, and enunciating the words, "Chaos, rocket!" A trio of glowing hard light orange constructs erupted from Shadow's fingertips. Each of these objects resembled a missile, but with Shadow's signature look on the front. All 3 of them locked onto Sonic, with the blue hedgehog having to dodge quickly. He swerved, zigzagged, and weaved across the floor, with the orange rockets only barely missing their target, leaving a smoldering crater behind Sonic. "Yikes! Impressive trick there. What do you call it?" "It's called Hyper-Gohan energy. Before this battle is through, you'll know its true power." Shadow suddenly began to spin rapidly, before loudly declaring, "Chaos, drill!" Shadow's entire body took on a yellow glow as he kept spinning around like a top. Taking full advantage of the minimum gravity in the lower sections of the arc, he began to swim through the air, before dive-bombing into the roads in front of Sonic. From the point Shadow struck, the road erupted into several broken, shattered pieces. With the road crumbling from both directions, Sonic had to act quickly. But luckily, quickly was his middle name. Sonic jumped up into the air, landing on one of the platforms that had just been broken, before leaping off and landing on another, and another, and another. Sonic leaped off of one more platform, but he didn't jump far enough. The runway was just out of reach. But then, Sonic pulled out the false Chaos Emerald tails it created, enunciated the words, "Chaos, control!" Sonic disappeared in a flash of light before reappearing on the runway. Shadow was dumbfounded. He didn't even know you could teleport with a fake Chaos Emerald. What? But how? Just what are you anyway? What you see is what you get. Just a guy that loves adventure. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. And with a cocky smirk, Sonic blasted off, with nothing but a sonic boom left behind. Shadow was about to race after him, before smirking to himself. Well played, Sonic the Hedgehog. But it won't matter in the end. And with that, Shadow raced off to await the inevitable. From here, the hero story wraps up as it normally did, leading into the events of the last story. Sonic may have stopped the Eclipse cannon from firing, but Eggman had gone to the controls, and as he placed the final Chaos Emerald into the reactor, it initialized Gerald's final plan. You see, after he had learned of Maria's death, he had gone mad, and reprogrammed the Ark's cannon so that if all 7 emeralds were ever placed into it, the Ark would fall out of orbit, dooming everyone on the planet as retribution for what happened to Maria. And although Shadow wasn't aware of this, Gerald had gotten a chance to subconsciously rewrite Shadow's thoughts, leading him to believe that this is what Maria would want. That is, until he got a meeting with a particular pink hedgehog. As the young Amy Rose entered the main control room, trying to find a way to stop the Ark from collapsing, she found Shadow looking out the window where he and Maria once stood. "Shadow! Everyone's trying to stop the Ark. We need you!" "It doesn't matter. I couldn't stop the Ark even if I wanted to. Besides, this is always how it's supposed to end. Those humans will pay for what they did." "Shadow, I know some people are bad. Like, really bad. But most people aren't like that. And they deserve a chance too." "A chance for what?" "A chance to be happy." Those words, "a chance to be happy," echoed through Shadow's mind, as if someone had said something similar to him a long time ago. "Please, Shadow. Shadow, I beg of you, for the people of that planet, give them a chance to be happy." Shadow now remembered Maria's true wish, a wish that had been suppressed by Gerald's reprogramming. She didn't want him to destroy the Earth, but to protect it. "I must keep my promise to Maria, and to you." Without another word, Shadow skated away, heading towards the core to assist the heroes. As Shadow reached the cannon's core, he was shocked to see that the prototype known as the Bio-Lizard had been unleashed to stop the heroes from preventing Gerald's plan. Shadow looked at Sonic and Knuckles, with the former holding the Master Emerald, a massive green gemstone with the power to neutralize the Chaos Emeralds. "Shadow, what are you doing?" "I'll deal with this. You stop the Chaos Emeralds." Without saying anything else, Shadow leaped into action, battling his prototype. The Bio-Lizard was a dangerous opponent. She was nearly indestructible, could fire lasers, and create energy eggs that she could launch at Shadow, but the true ultimate lifeform was strong enough to deal with her. After a series of homing attacks and a well-timed chaos burst, the Bio-Lizard was defeated. Or so it seemed. As Sonic and Knuckles used the Master Emerald to stop the Chaos Emeralds, in one last desperate bid, the Bio-Lizard used Chaos Control to merge its body with the Ark itself, pulling it closer and closer to the Earth. All hope seemed lost, until Sonic got an idea. They had all 7 Chaos Emeralds with them. "Hey Shadow, you taught me Chaos Control. How about I teach you a thing or two about super forms?" In a flash of golden light, the blue hedgehog was replaced with that of Super Sonic, and following close behind him was another yellow hedgehog, Super Shadow. With Sonic's experience and Shadow's abilities with both Hyper Go-On and Chaos Energy, the pair were more than tough enough to deal with the final hazard. Before long, Super Sonic and Super Shadow managed to destroy the Bio-Lizard once and for all. Now came the hard part, stopping the Ark's descent. The duo knew what they had to do. They raised their arms into the air, rocketing towards the space colony and enunciating the words, "Chaos Control!" In a flash of light, the Ark was sent back to its orbital position. The day had been saved, but not without a casualty. Shadow's unconscious body fell towards the Earth below. He expended every last bit of chaos energy to fulfill Maria's wish. As his body crash-landed onto the Earth below, he was presumed dead. But this wasn't the end of the ultimate life form. Soon after the events aboard the Ark, one of Dr. Eggman's robots discovered the ultimate life form, laying unconscious in a crater. He was barely alive. Eggman, partially grateful for what Shadow had done, but more interested in what he could do with Shadow, took him into a stasis pod to heal him back to health, but keeping him unconscious for the time being. As the weeks passed, Shadow lay dormant in the pod as Eggman did research on him. Well, isn't this fascinating? It's as if you're a living source of hyper-go-on energy. Shadow, you will give me the power to finally conquer this world. And this is where we'll be leaving this what if for right now. So, what do you guys think will happen next? What do you think will become of Shadow? And how do you think his role will differ in the events of Sonic Heroes? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'm ComicFan13. I hope you have a good day.